We're live. Welcome back to the LOOPcast. Today, joined by my co-hosts Josh and Erica. A warm welcome to everyone joining us here live in the chat. Extra warm. It's freezing.
It
in
is so
Indiana.
cold here too.
I was like 1 degree this morning. It's unbelievable.
Oh.
So I hope you guys are staying warm, especially those who made the trek out to DC for the March for Life this year.
Shout out, guys.
Shout out to all you guys. First off, thank you all for going. And it's going to be cool. You'll be joined by our Catholic Vice President, J.D. Vance, has announced he'll be going. So that'll probably be going on probably during the episode. So don't think we'll get to cover. I know President Trump is going to speak virtually. So exciting time to be an American Catholic.
It is. It is. I think the vibes, as the kids say, at the March this year are going to be riding high because, yeah, I mean, we just had the pardon. I know we're going to talk about this, the pardon of the pro-life FACE Act victims, I'll call them. We have videos of mom being reunited with her toddler after Trump pardoned them. And so it's a good day. It is a good day. We have so much work to do in our country when it comes to life. But yeah, things are looking very hopeful.
Amen to that. Before we get to that, I thought that would be our second topic today. Our first topic, as videos were rolling through my Twitter feed, announcements were being made across the administration, deportations have begun in America. There's no question about that. And we also got a response from a Catholic bishop in the USCCB on their opposition to some of Trump's policies. But I'd like to just start as a baseline. What is going on? So currently, there's actually an ICE tracker on X available, which I just thought not just a great idea, but hilarious.
Everyone loves a good counter. This is great.
So we got a counter going. ICE on, I've never found an account so fast. We have an enforcement update as of January 23, 2025, 538 arrests and 373 detainers lodged. Now, these numbers are important because it's important to be transparent with the public, but nothing said this to me more than this Boston ICE raid that I saw. I'm not sure if you guys saw this. So Bill Malugan, I believe with Fox, he basically went on a ride along with a special ICE unit that was sent into Boston to go and take down some of the most dangerous, rap sheet full criminals that are not American citizens. And this, I think I tweeted on X, and shout out Peachy Keenan, she picked it up. I was like, we should have a cop style ride along show of just these brave ICE officers going into arrest, violent sexual predators. And that's exactly what happened here. And I don't even think you could
We're not talking about just people who came to the country illegally and they're working the night shift or something like that at a restaurant or something like that. We're talking about brutally evil, vicious criminals.
I mean, I don't even think you can pay for this line right here. So I'll pay for what got played.
Very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
Wow, quite the ad.
ICE Boston quickly takes down.
Wait, I thought America was just an idea.
Oh, right.
Well, simultaneously, America's an idea, and America actually is full of a lot of different ideas, and there is no universal truth. So actually, ideas don't really matter. So what they're saying is, we just hate America.
Yeah.
Some of those guys in the Wall Street Journal think, that guy could be more American than the people that have been here for hundreds of years. So,
yeah, I mean, literally,
the spirit of America, right there. I mean, come on.
My pulse was high watching this because it all felt very El Salvadorian to me, in that the president of El Salvador dealt with the highest crime violence, organized crime violence in the world. No one thought they could rid their country of it. He comes to power and he conscripts people in the community to join the military to actually go in and throw these gang members in jail, take them off the streets. And he's 93% popularity rate. What's happening right now?
That's totally like Rudy Giuliani when he was mayor in the 90s too. Like, people thought the city of New York was ungovernable, just like they did for, as you said, El Salvador. It is governable, actually. You actually just have to make the tough choices.
Well, and I think the city of New York, to your point, Josh, they just released numbers, and they said in the last 5 days, there have been 0 shootings. That is There have been 0 shootings in New York City in the last 5 days. What happened 5 days ago? Oh, Trump was sworn in. It's
Last time that's the first time it's happened like that in 30 years, they said.
Yeah. But I had some friends ask, and I think it's a legit. So they're arresting all of these convicted felons who are also here illegally. What are those people doing out on the streets if they're really convicted felons? Well, here's the deal. Boston, and that's where we saw the video from, is a sanctuary city. So they would have these people arrested for violent crimes in our communities. But then because it's a sanctuary city and they're illegal, they let them back out on the street. That's how it works. And
That's
so
what
I mean,
Democrats
Tom,
want to do.
exactly.
That's what
And
Democrats want.
the system is the purpose of a system is what it does. Did I get it right, Josh?
You did, girl.
I learned. See,
I mean,
learned.
it's unconscionable. It's not like, boy, it took Donald Trump like 8-9 months for him to figure this out, how to crack down on this and send some of these violent thugs, rapists, and killers out and get rid of them. It's like, no, dude, this is still week 1. Like, there is no reason why this couldn't have been done any time in the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration. They did not do this because they did not want to do this.
Right.
Remember that.
Do you remember the whole story how, oh, we want to fix the southern border. Yeah, there's problems down there, but we can't do anything. This was Harris's whole line. Yeah, we can't, our hands are tied. Congress has to do it. We don't have the power. Oh, okay. Case in point, stuff's getting done. Right? Encounters at the border, I think total encounters since Trump was inaugurated at our southern border, the entire southern border was just over 700 this week. Compare that to the 10 to 12,000 in a day that we were seeing 2 years ago. I mean, that was it. You had the power all the time. And thank God someone is in office who is actually exercising it, knows his job.
Not just arresting these people, they're gone. So we get an update from Caroline Leavitt, the new press secretary for President Trump. You get these pictures. These are
leave the country. Let's go.
These criminals being put on military plane to be sent back to their country. Promises kept from President Trump. But I think one of my favorite parts of that ride-along video was the Haitian migrant saying, "I'm not going back, F Trump, Biden forever." And they showed this to Tom Homan, the director of ICE. And he responded.
You see that video. I'm curious. What do you think?
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. I can tell him that.
Oh, man. I really think that there's going to be statues built of Tom Homan one day. I mean, seriously.
Oh, my goodness.
So
what an opportunity.
This all being said, I think you've pointed out correctly, it's shocking to see that. And I think the smartest thing the Trump administration is doing is being very transparent and being good on PR. They're naming off the crimes of these people. They're saying that the cities are not cooperating with them, which they aren't. So they have to do more intel. They can't stop ICE, but they are choosing not to cooperate with them.
Yeah, and by the way, did you pick up on what happens because they don't cooperate? When these sanctuary cities don't cooperate, it actually ends up being worse for the illegals because, if they go to a city that actually cooperates, they go, yeah, here are our worst criminals. We got this guy for assault. We got this guy for theft. Right. We got this guy for attempted murder. And then ICE can just come in and go, oh, okay, great. We'll get them out of the country or whatever we want to do with it. But if they don't, if like Boston just release them back into the community, as you say, then they're going to try to track this guy down because he's a murderer anyway, right? Or a thug or whatever. And they get into the house. And if 3 or 4 other people in that house are also illegal, like, sorry, we're not just going to let you stay. We're going to take all of you. Yeah. So again, you're not doing any favors, these sanctuary cities.
Yeah, that was a great
criminals.
Interview.
That's what the sanctuary is, but not safe for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that was Dana Bash talked to Tom Homan, did a brief interview with him, and she could not wrap her mind around the fact that they would arrest both the criminal illegal alien and anyone else in the room, the violent ones and everyone else in the room. And Tom Homan's like, you don't understand. We are enforcing the law. That is what the law says. And she's like,
that is what we do.
Really? Like trying to make them out to be these monsters that you would arrest everyone who's
Well, Tom Homan made the point too. If they're living in the home with someone that has murdered and raped someone, they're typically cooperating with them. So it's not like they're just unrelated to each other,
right?
Living in the same house. Typically they're connected. So I'm going to point out before we get into the Catholic response to this, Catholic bishop's response, there's a reason the New York Times poll shows 87% of Americans support deportations of illegals with criminal records and 63% of all illegals. So this is an issue that has majority support, one of the rare issues in America.
Strong,
Widespread
super majority support
of Americans. And so maybe I would just preface this all with this is largely popular with the American people. We sent Donald Trump into office to do this, and now it's happening. Promise kept, promise delivered. So we get a response.
Actually, should we, the percentage of people who do not want to deport immigrants who are here and have criminal records, 10%, just 10%. That's Kamala Harris's position on immigration. That's what we had for the last 4 years in this country. A radical minority view, 10%. And that's why the American people are like, yeah, no, we don't want you.
So Bishop Mark Seitz, he is the chairman of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops Committee on Migration, has come out strongly with a statement saying that now is the time to speak, and he's delivering their position on what is going on currently.
Catholic Church in the United States taking a formal position on President Trump's immigration policies in recent days?
We are. We think we have to speak to many of these policies, which we see as going against some of the basic tenets of our faith, frankly. The fundamental right of every human person that need to be respected, no matter their origin, no matter their situation.
What is the strategy for the church in the United States, if any, in terms of dealing with this administration beyond the immigration issues this week? Do you have a big picture 4-year approach to how you're going to handle this moment?
Well, I think all of us are, in the church and without, are looking to see what shape this administration takes and what positions they actually land on. I don't think any of us knows exactly, but things have come into a clearer light in regard to the immigration questions right now, and so we're responding to those.
Lack of clarity. I'm sorry. This is your opportunity. You're doing a national interview, right, with Bob Costa, CBS News. By the way, Bob Costa used to be a conservative. You came out through National Review. What a joke that guy is. But you had an opportunity, Bishop, to actually to provide that kind of clarity and say, well, surely we support the removal and deportation of violent criminals. And then you could pivot towards saying, I hope that this administration will be more compassionate to people who are in the country, without papers or whatever you'd say, which is illegally, but that have not committed any other crime, and they're certainly not violent. We should have more compassion, mercy towards them. They're in a tough spot, blah, 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 blah. You would have had the sympathy of a lot of Americans, even though they might be like, I may disagree with you, I may let them deported anyway. But again, what a wonderful opportunity, totally squandered. And here's the thing about the Catholic Church's teaching. It says in the compendium of the Catechism, the most complete realization of the common good is found in those political communities which defend and promote the good of their citizens without forgetting the universal good of the entire human family. Of course. But the problem here is we are convinced that a lot of the bishops have it inverted. That, in fact, they think the most important realization of the common good is helping the entire human family and kind of forgetting about the actual citizens in your own country. That's what we feel like we have in this situation when we have violent thugs in every one of our major cities, like that raid you mentioned in Boston, like in New York City, Chicago, and we have these so-called sanctuary cities, these left-wing radical DA, district attorneys and mayors who are just like, let them go. Don't even put them into prison. We're not going to cooperate. And how is that for the common good? But all we hear from these bishops is, oh, welcome the stranger and the poor, migrant or whatever. Well, first of all, if a migrant's coming, if not all migrants are committing crimes, of course, but the ones that are, could you please denounce them for the love of all that is holy? And number two, how about the victims? Like Laken Riley is dead. And even Democrats had the wisdom to wake up and realize, whoa, we got to smell the coffee here. Both of my liberal Michigan Democratic senators voted for the Laken Riley Act because they're like, I might lose my job otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this interview and a couple other videos that were released, it just comes across as so completely out of touch at the situation at hand, and it doesn't actually say anything concrete. Like, it's these vagaries that feel good, they sound good, and I hate to say it, but like boomer generation kumbaya, like the whole human family just has to come together and hold hands and we'll all be friends. It is so out of touch with the actual lives of people who have been, as you point out, Josh, hurt by the fact that it has just been open border for 4 years. And it's a lack of compassion to get on national television like that and say something. Someone could be watching whose child was kidnapped, or who, like, in their community, their home has been taken over, and it's just
I mean,
the
again,
lack of compassion is stunning.
what they try, well, the whole point of what they're saying with compassion is, don't just take care of yourself, take care of the stranger, these migrants that come in. And it's like, wait a minute, no, you've got it again, you have it backwards. It would be like if you knew of a family where, like, the mom was like helping out at the soup kitchen all day when she has toddlers back at home, they're running through the house and they're starving and they're pooping in their diapers and everything. Like, lady, take care of your family first before you go try to help someone else. It's just like the airplane. Put the oxygen in, make sure you can save yourself before you can try to help someone else. That's what's going on in our country right now. We don't have the capacity to take care of the people in our own country. Look, we've had the hurricane victims in North Carolina for months, and they're still recovering. But we just had the border open. I mean, flames in Los Angeles. Like, we got some problems we got to work on.
Yeah.
But we can't, deport thugs. Oh.
Right. I think
if I could real quick, Trump is actually on his way right now to North Carolina, and then he's going to go stop in LA. So I think that the issue with this is it feels like we're talking past each other. And I have two issues, really, is as I've been literally beat over the head with synodality, walking with our lived experience, it just becomes painfully clear to me that the church is not really serious about that. That's just a PR agenda, actually authentic. Because if they really wanted to successfully speak to American citizens' experience, they would speak differently. They would
do some research, for heaven's sake.
Well, right. They would speak to the pain that the Americans that have lost lives, that their communities have been completely trashed. Yeah. They've suffered under lawfare. I haven't seen a single thing about the release of the pro-life prisoners. It's like, I don't know if it's just an intentional disdain for America more generally, but I think there's actually a way in which, I think there's a way in which everyone wins here, because, to be honest, Trump's going to do what he's going to do with the Catholic Church or without. That's just a very honest brass tacks assessment. And if the Catholic Church does not do a good job here, the USCCB, in terms of messaging, people are going to turn on them. I mean, the first thing that I saw as soon as they threw out this kind of messaging was, let's go take a look at the numbers of how much money the USCCB is raking in off of what just happened over the 4 years. I have stats in front of me. This is all publicly available. We're talking about $2 billion over Biden's 4 years. And this is specifically to individual Catholic charities in each individual area. That's not even talking about we're talking about the bigger general to the Catholic Church in general. We're talking about $129 million in government contracts they've received to specifically resettle illegal immigrants into the country. So I think if the church, I actually think legitimately there could be RICO charges leveled against these Catholic charities for individually circumventing American policy, American immigration policy. There will be. I already saw a raid of an FBI raid of an office in New Hampshire, immigration office in New Hampshire. It's a federal crime to work to circumvent United States policy when it comes to anything, but specifically immigration. I hope that people listen to this. If the USCCB does not do a better job speaking to Americans' experience and actually kind of meeting in the middle in a positive way, people will turn on them. I think people are already angry, and it's going to happen with you or without. So I'm saying I think there's a way in which everyone wins here. Tom Homan's Catholic. I'm sure he at least has an open ear if people like to meet with him and talk about what are President Trump's priorities. How can we message
have to be reasonable in what they're talking about? Like, you're right.
This is not going to win.
They're not dealing with the lived experience, as you say. I mean, give me a break. Like, 10% of Americans, which is scary that it's this high, are opposed to deporting violent criminals. I mean, I can't believe that it's shocking that it would be 1%, but it's 10. But that means the other, 90% are like, yeah, dude, violent criminals, like, yeah, deport them, obviously. Like, that's a no-brainer. And yet here's an opportunity for the bishops to say, yeah, certainly, people come to this country illegally and commit violent crimes should
Right.
be deported. But they make it seem like any deportation is morally outrageous. And again, I say what I said last time. I don't trust any man of the cloth, Catholic or not, Catholic or Anglican. I don't trust any man of the cloth who is more morally outraged by deportation than abortion. One policy
Amen.
ends in returning someone to their home country. The other one results in a dead baby. So don't pretend like these are even near morally equivalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, funny. I was talking to Rosie before this, and she was saying she had a friend who works as a missionary and goes around to a lot of different countries. And basically, when we projected to the world, hey, we're going to take anyone, you can just abuse our asylum program, people sent. And what ended up happening was men in the community would go try to get into America to try to make money to send it back. So even you would think, okay, that might potentially be noble. But of course, there's secondary and tertiary effects to everything. One of the effects was many of these men left and never came back and never sent anything back. And then also, when you leave your family like that, it leaves them in a vulnerable position as well for violence, danger, etc. So it would be nice. Like, I've never heard these conditions addressed by the USCCB. And to me, this is what I'm talking about, getting into nuance. Like, I almost don't even love the idea that the USCCB has this special commission on migration. That actually is up to the country, a sovereign nation, America, not an idea, a country with citizens and laws and policies. Because those people I like the idea of potentially advising in ways to, treat people with human dignity, of course, and if that's not happening. But if you're talking about trying to weigh into whether or not America should do or something, and think you have any power outside of the people that elected the president to do that, it just comes off like this and it makes people angry. Clearly, this is against the popular will of the people.
Right, and it is the place of the bishops to teach and to sanctify and to rule. And I think if what we were getting from the Commission on Migration was a clear exposition of Catholic social teaching on issues like patriotism, migration, on that, and it was based in Scripture and tradition and the Church's longstanding teaching. If we were getting an exposition on that, that would be one thing. But for them to come out swinging with so little nuance, there was no distinction made, as Josh said, between who you're deporting, how you're deporting them, what country are they going to. There were no distinctions being made there. It was just this blanket political statement of like, well, we don't like what they're doing, period. And
you get this situation where, left-wing groups, including those that claim they're Catholic, are telling all these migrants are trying to come to the United States over the last few years as they illegally cross the border. And if they get apprehended, just claim asylum. Now, actually, by the way, as Catholics, like a lot of these migrants are Catholics or whatever, so are we actually actively encouraging people to falsely commit perjury and commit a mortal sin of lying before a government? It's not like you're lying to your brother over who stole the cookie. Like, this is a grave matter. You're claiming asylum when over 90% of these cases, the courts have said it's not a political asylum. You're just looking for a little bit better economic situation. I understand that, but you're not being politically persecuted for your religion or because you're from. It's not asylum. But left-wing groups have promoted that and that's the little get out of deportation free
it's a
card.
get out of jail free card, but it's false.
And it's a bunch of crap. I mean, this is what you are doing by encouraging people to falsely claim asylum. Is you are abusing the charity of this country, the United States, and the people of this country who have a heart for people who have been persecuted.
The most charitable country in the world by giving, period.
I mean, I know that we haven't always been perfect. Of course, Democrat Lord FDR turned away a boat full of Jews and went back to Germany in 1933. So we haven't been perfect. So I don't forget that kind of stuff. But yeah, actually, we have been a very generous country. We've allowed over 1 million people into our country as immigrants every year since 1965. And if we say we don't want them coming in illegally, I'm sick and tired of being lectured at by people who are invoking the Catholic faith to do it and wag their finger at me. It's like, no, buddy, stop abusing the charity of the people of the United States. It's disgusting.
Preach.
Can't say much better than that. I don't want to spend forever in this, but what bothered me again about this statement too, as if it's putting people in a camp that people that support a coherent border policy that promotes the common good for the citizens of the United States and actually is probably best for people of other nations that want to come to the United States legally, as if somehow they see a migrant on the street and like kick them or something.
Yeah.
Like they're somehow evil or treat people like they don't have dignity. I don't like that implication. I think me supporting a coherent border policy is completely separate than from who I see on the street, how I would treat them, or if someone needed something, what I would give them. That's not the point, I think. And maybe it's that implication that bugs me the most of like, okay, so then therefore, what do you suggest? If you're saying that people that support this are not treating people well, so then therefore, what do you need to support open borders? It's
Right.
the lack of clarity and actually specifically saying something, maybe intentionally being obtuse so that you can posture a certain way. I'm really trying to get to the bottom of why this was even said. I don't understand.
Again, it's just a reminder. I would tell people the Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches that immigrants are, quote, obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them, to obey its laws, and to assist in carrying civic burdens, unquote. So to the extent that these SOBs who are committing violent crimes in Boston and New York and Chicago, they are not respecting this country. They are not obeying our laws, and they're leaving now. Thank you.
Shout out to Tom Homan.
Let's do it, Tom.
Statues will be built. Anyway.
Beautiful statues.
We get on now to the pro-life. So I'd also like to happily point out to all of the people that encouraged me to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they were, quote, just as pro-life as Trump and J.D. Vance. We have some updates for you on that. So President Trump has signed an executive order freeing the 23 pro-life protesters arrested using the FACE Act for peacefully protesting outside of abortion clinics. This includes names like Lauren Handy, Joan Bell, Paulette Harlow, Bevelyn Williams, many things. But I'd like to get into the video of him signing first because I just love watching it, and I will watch it again.
By the Biden. Next, we have a set of pardons for peaceful pro-life protesters who were prosecuted by the Biden administration for exercising their First Amendment rights.
Do you know how many?
I believe it's 23, sir.
23 people were prosecuted. They should not have been prosecuted. Many of them are elderly people. They should not have been prosecuted. This is a great honor to sign this.
I'm going to cry. I get choked
They'll
up.
be very happy. So they're all in prison now.
Some are out of custody.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. That was a beautiful moment. Oh,
hey, elections matter.
Elections matter. And then there's the beautiful video of Bevelyn Williams.
I voted for that.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm like, this is why I voted. That was great. Oh, man. I don't want to dunk on Lila Rose because I love Lila Rose, and I am glad there are Lila Roses here. But I'm really glad I didn't listen to her advice.
Yeah. Well,
she did come around 24 hours before the polls opened.
Sure.
So that was good.
She was still wrong.
Strategy, she was wrong. Mine. I respect it. Whatever.
Yeah.
She was wrong.
Not mine.
I'm not going to. She was wrong. I can say she was wrong, but we didn't know exactly.
You can make the case that she helped bring the late clingers on board.
Sure.
At the last minute.
I don't know if we'll disagree on that. I still like Lila. I think she does great work. She was just wrong. Here's a video of Bevelyn being reunited with her family. She was taken away from her young children, and here she is bouncing her daughter and meeting her husband right outside of the jail. So I want to emphasize to people so a few things really stick out to me. I have a video of some of these protesters, what they were arrested for. Here is a video. They would still be in jail, by the way, under a Catholic president. This was a Nashville abortion clinic. These pro-life activists were just in there sitting, singing. Nonviolent, peacefully protesting, exercise their First Amendment right. The FACE Act for people that are not
do that in U.S. capitals, and
yes,
and they don't get any jail time. They get like 24
Yeah,
hours.
those
tops.
Hamas protests last spring.
So
Tim
for
Kaine's
people,
son at the Minnesota Capitol.
For people that don't
slap on the
understand,
wrist.
for people that don't understand the FACE Act, it was signed by Bill Clinton and has been mega weaponized, specifically in one direction, because theoretically it is used against people that block churches, but also abortion clinics. Although I haven't really seen that on churches, it definitely goes one way. And so it's used to put people in federal prison for years for exercising their First Amendment right. It still hasn't been repealed. I would love to see the Trump administration.
You forgot. Remember Merrick Garland went after that one church, because the one guy was going to try attack the church because it was going to be a drag queen story hour, and so they're going to finally attack that church. It's like, oh, now we can say
I'll get him.
Merrick Garland, man. I mean,
dustbin of history by Merrick.
He deserves to be in jail.
So, well, by him signing this and saying he was proud to do it and they shouldn't have been persecuted, what does this say to me? That we had a Catholic president happy to put these people in jail, not lift a finger, not do a thing about it. Kamala Harris making history by being the first sitting vice president to visit an abortion clinic and saying that was one of the most proud things she was to do. Immediately, we elect Donald Trump. He frees these prisoners within the first week, and then J.D. Vance is in person at the March for Life right now. It's like I'm almost having whiplash at how quick the change is.
Elections matter, yeah.
Elections matter. I can never, not to say we told you, but for all the people like, oh my gosh, not pro-life. I remember having a debate with someone over these pro-life prisoners. Like, do you really think Paulette Harlow, an elderly woman whose husband was in tears because he said she was going to die in prison because of her age and condition, and to have a judge, I remember the judge specifically rubbing it in their face saying, well, they shouldn't have done that. You should have respected people's reproductive rights, as if somehow this is a win for justice or victory. And because they blocked it and they deserved it, because we have this weaponized. The
thing is, do you see like the New York Times? It was like writing stories about and some conservatives believe that there's a two-tier of justice, that they only go after. It's like, what we believe? Like, have you been to these courts? Have you not heard this stuff? I mean,
this is a documented fact.
Again, with the January 6th, like you can say, maybe I would have commuted more of those sentences than just pardon them or whatever. But Trump's like, well, screw you. You're pardoning your whole family. I don't care. Yeah. And the thing is, all these cities from Portland to Minneapolis, my old hometown Minneapolis, were on fire for a whole year. In fact, Governor Walz was loving it, and his wife was like, "Oh, I'm watching the fires from here, from St. Paul. This is so awesome."
She said she loved the smell of the tires.
Just a wickedly evil woman, just to her bones. So conservatives people can burn cities with impunity, but people get waved into the Capitol and steal a lectern, and then you put them in jail for 3-4 years. It's disproportionate. It's baloney. If you have two tiers of justice, you have no justice.
Yep.
Welcome to the golden age of America. But if you were wondering where Democrats are on abortion, on the eve of the March for Life, we have Senate Democrats blocking the GOP's first abortion bill. This legislation would, quote, prohibit a healthcare practitioner from failing to exercise the proper degree of care in case of a child who survives an abortion or attempted abortion.
Oh, but gosh. You know what? Fetterman, didn't he vote our way? Oh, wait, no, he didn't.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Uncle Fester is still a communist deep down inside, people. Don't be confused, okay? Don't fall for the tricks.
No.
When it comes to policies, all right? That's like that senator from Montana. We're a bolo town. I drive a pickup truck, and I love guns. And you'd vote for the NRA a few times here and there or whatever. I got a decent rating from the NRA. But anytime abortion came, John Tester voted for abortion, 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 abortion. Finally, the voters of Montana kicked his butt out of office, and we got a great new senator out of Montana.
We have a great senator. Yeah,
awesome.
Love that.
Is that she?
Yeah, he's awesome, dude.
My pronouns are she, he. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But Fetterman, don't be confused, man. Oh, he goes to Mar-a-Lago. He's willing to talk to Trump. Yeah, he wouldn't even allow this legislation to come up for a vote. He blocked it. It's not that you had to support it, which, like, we're talking about babies who survive abortion.
So I just want to make sure that the playing field is clear here for all the people that try to psyop people into Catholics into voting for Democrats this last cycle. Like, so we have Trump releasing pro-life prisoners. We have J.D. Vance at the March for Life. Trump's going to speak virtually, and Democrats are focused on making sure babies that survive botched abortions don't get care and that they actually die. It's just unbelievable.
And you know, Democrats could have done these same raids. Like, our law enforcement officials are supposed to find violent criminals who are here illegally, who are committing crimes like rape, murder, and stuff, capture them, and don't let go of them. It's like, return them to their host country or prosecute them and put them in jail. Like, we're in again, how was it that this election was even close?
I mean, I guess it wasn't.
It should have been a 49-state landslide.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, it should have been bigger than 1984. You had a woman who was against deporting criminals who committed violent crimes, and she wanted you to. And if they were detained and said, "I'm now a girl, I want a transgender surgery at your expense," these people hate you. Right. I'm not saying Republicans are immaculate, no, but I'm saying Democrats hate you. Wake up, people.
So and shout out Nate Hochman. He brought this up too, and I think I've been thinking about this a lot.
He's a treasure, dude. I love that guy.
He's great.
So from him, it's remarkable how demoralized the left is. Trump is just steamrolling them. They can't even muster outrage. In 2016, it was 5-alarm fire hysteria. If he had been this aggressive in his first week, the country would have burned. Now there are barely even protests. I mean, I can speak from my personal experience. I could not find protesters at
you
the
were
inauguration,
looking,
which was crazy. I was actively looking, seeking out. And if you remember some scenes from 2016, 2017, I mean, look at this. Huge crowds.
Oh,
I remember the social media mobs. And that was from 2016. If you go to what we see now, I mean, this is the best they could muster. And it's almost kind of sad. But I would ask
They're
now.
not sending their best.
What I would ask now at this point, why do you think the spirit is just broken? Why has there been new unified protest? Do you think Trump really benefited from having 4 years to sit and think about what he wanted to do and just watch things kind of go down?
The reason why they're not able to do as much moral outrage because Donald Trump, when he first got elected, it almost felt like he snuck in. No one thought he was going to win, and he only won by the popular, and he didn't win
electoral.
He won the Electoral College majority, which, yes, that is legitimate. However, it didn't feel like it to hundreds of thousands of communists that we have in this country. So they went bananas with the resistance and all that kind of stuff. And they could try to have this moral claim that, no, actually, the American people don't want this. They support us, but it's only because of this crazy, archaic, 200-year-old system that elects presidents in this random way. But now they can't say that because American people are like, yeah, we actually want this guy. This is
like
the guy
really
we
bad,
want.
yeah.
We want him more than we want your guy.
We tried them both, and we want that one. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's absolutely crushing because they're like, oh, they could say before, oh, my gosh, it's just my crazy uncle at Thanksgiving who thinks like this way. Actually, you know what? A majority of people think this way, including a lot of blacks and Latinos. They're with us on this one. Oh my gosh.
Well, and
Sorry.
I think a big part of it too comes from the leadership of the Democratic Party and the mouthpieces right over at CNN, MSNBC. I think that the rhetoric was so hard. It was so terrible against Donald Trump. It was like Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. You're all going to detainment camps. He's going to erase LGBTQ people from the world. And then what we're actually seeing is so different. And the leadership class is like shaking his hand and sitting with him at the funeral and going to the inauguration.
You're
and
next to Hitler at Carter's
they're just
funeral. So
right.
weird.
They're not even really reacting. And when the leadership doesn't have the conviction of their rhetoric, I think that.
But what leadership is there in the Democratic Party? That's the problem.
Except for AOC, she's still holding on to the scale. I mean,
they don't have any leadership though. Like what? Like Chuck Schumer is the leader of the Democrats now. Is it still kind of Obama? I mean, like there's a leadership vacuum, and so you're getting all these, like Chris Murphy, your senator from Connecticut, like a total idiot, just flapping his gums, like.
What are you talking about, Chris?
Oh my gosh, Elon Musk doing this weird hand gesture. Obviously, that was invoking the Hitler Sieg Heil thing. Like, really? I'm not even angry at it. Keep going with that playbook, you idiots, and we will destroy you. Like, really? This autistic, genius is like doing this weird hand wave. I mean, we saw him at the Butler rally. We like jumped up. Like, I mean, if it was any other guy, we would have kind of questioned your sexuality. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, go with this. If you want to keep drinking from that well, give me a break. We will just have to keep crushing you.
Yeah, to answer my own question too, and I saw Trump spoke at Davos, which is just hilarious at the World Economic Forum. First off, just so good. There's a couple good moments in there. I think I have one maybe from my Twilight Zone. But one of the things he brought up was his executive order to get rid of misinformation and censorship, government censorship. And him saying that misinformation is a tool to limit people's First Amendment right to free expression and actually limits progress. And I'd have to think, oh my gosh, it's hard to even put myself back in 2016, but I could not think of a more deserving group to lose their own legitimacy and power than mainstream media. And Trump's biggest contribution to America in 2016 was calling out the people that were fake news, and it was hilarious and it stuck, but it just was proven true time and time and time and time again. And then you get Elon Musk buying X, or Twitter, now X. And it just feels like slowly this grip on media is lost, and all the things that we were told about Trump turned out to be lies for the most part. And I think you just hear lie after lie after lie, and that might have motivated people in the beginning when you weren't sure it was a lie and you thought you could trust the media. But man, after we're almost 10 years deep, 8 years deep in this slow slide of just lies being proven out to be lies, lies being proven to be lies. And I just think you almost have to give Trump credit for whatever quality he has, the it quality that he has, to push through all of the things levied against him. I mean, really, talk about an American story. So I just think at this point, it's hard to believe.
I just want to add an addendum to that, though, because what I want, I love J.D. Vance. He's awesome. But he's doing this big interview with Maggie Brennan over at, CBS, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you know what? I get it. But why don't you start elevating the platforms of the people that actually,
elected you,
were responding to citizens who wanted to hear what you had to say. Like you did that during the campaign. You went on Rogan. So go on places like Rogan. Go to Daily Wire, The Blaze, The Loop, whatever. Reach some of these outlets. Yes, you still have to do, I guess, occasionally with these mainstream things, but especially when it comes to leaking information, give those scoops to The Blaze, The Daily Wire, The Loop. Give it to so that we can break some of this kind of stuff. And that's why I'm very heartened to hear that the White House has decided what the traditional practice of the White House for the last, 30, 40, 50 years has been to allow the White House Press Corps, Association decide who gets to sit in all the different seats during the White House briefing room. Well, Donald Trump says, "The heck with this. We're not doing that anymore." And by the way, the White House Press Corps, they have this annual ball, and it's like the nerd prom. It's like the dumbest thing in the world. And Trump went, and that's where they made fun of him, and that's why I decided to run for president. It was just awesome.
Yep.
So what's happening now, Trump is like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. We're just going to allow only left-wing news outlets in this room. And so now they're inviting, it's going to be a little bit more of a good representation of the media that is consumed by the people in the United States. Because there's half this country that doesn't listen to the bull crap from CBS and NBC. And does anyone other than a few wino moms listen to NPR anyway? Right. So now they have, the Daily Wire has their White House correspondent.
Mary Margaret Oldahan.
Queen.
Smart move, Daily Wire.
And there's going to be others, National Review, The Blaze. Well, National Review is kind of in the middle, but there'll be other conservative outlets that'll.
It won't just be Peter Ducey anymore.
Right.
Nothing else.
It. And occasionally, Owen Jensen would be able to ask some questions too, but other than that, no, it was.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Well, you just made your questions beforehand. And that is if Biden
Yeah.
even decided to take a press conference.
Why is that not a scandal? This is why
Right.
the media, even by the thing that the media think is the biggest scandal ever, like, oh, our integrity. You had no integrity. President Biden, there's a photo where he's holding the in his card. It was the photo of the lady from the Los Angeles Times in how to pronounce her name. She had a really weird name. And this is the question she's going to ask you. How is this not a freaking scandal?
I have just enjoyed so much watching the President of the United States once again walk from point A to point B while talking to a reporter who shouts out a question at him. It has been so refreshing. And yes, I'm glad it's Trump. I'm glad that Trump won. But just anyone who could actually respond to the world and like stimuli going on
Yeah, who
around
can
them has
walk and
been,
chew gum at the same time?
oh my gosh,
goodness.
it's been super refreshing.
Did
Yeah,
you
on
see
that
he got up the stairs to Air Force One?
Yep,
without
he
tipping?
could walk upstairs. This
Big
is
one.
good. This is good. I mean, he's aging. Don't get me wrong. Like he's geriatric, but he can walk upstairs. Yeah. Did you see too? CBS was trying to trash on the inauguration. I think this was on Tuesday. And one of the talking heads said, yeah, I mean, inauguration viewership was way down. We only had 2.6 million people watch the inauguration. And someone on the panel said, well, what about like on streaming or something? They're like, well, yeah, there's probably people streaming, but yeah,
Probably.
mainstream networks, probably. Turns out Daily Wire released their numbers and they crunched all of the streaming platforms. It was 2.6 million, so it was way down for the networks. 72 million for streaming on platforms like X, on Daily Wire, on adding all those together.
Rumble, right?
72, like wasn't even close. So no, people aren't less interested in what's going on politically now,
Right.
which was what CBS wanted us
We
to.
just don't care about you, CBS.
We just
Well,
don't care about you.
CNN
I never
just cut.
And these media outlets, they call us even at Captain Phil, like, what about this? I'm like, I'm sorry. Do I care about you? No. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the magic of even to think about what we were able to do over election season of just our reach now is nuts, and people just come here to listen to three normal people talk about what they're seeing. And it always surprised me. Like people would be like, why did you like the Loopcast? Why'd you like the coverage during election season? And I was like, oh, I just felt like I was sitting with three of my people, basically. And the news that we were telling them, sure, we were taking the time to research and go through it and deliver what we thought was most important. But, we're not doing anything that anyone else isn't doing per se. It's just the trust factor. And the trust factor, talk about blown up with the so-called old guard for CNN, MSNBC, CBS. I mean, there was a lot of people, I think, very normal people that really for a long time were just like, these are kind of middle of the road. This is what we think. And man, talk about all the podcasts that Trump went on and just we're in a new age of delivering information to people.
See,
and
people think CBS is middle of the road because they're boring. But no, there's just boring communists.
Yeah,
they're
boring and they're liars.
And the magic of Trump too is like, and he did this during the first year. I think he's killing it this time. Is I'm just going straight to my Twitter account and I'm posting my executive orders, and you're going to hear directly from me. I'm going to be just walking to the plane talking. I have all my people to deliver the information. We're not going through that filter anymore. We don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Game's changed, so I'm happy that it has.
One of my favorites this week, one more, was when the reporter calls out to him, what about the drones over New Jersey, Mr. President? And he just kind of stopped what he was doing and he turns and he's like, we should find out about that. Could we find out about that, Susie, quickly? Could we just find out? Okay, let's get that. We'll get that back to you soon. And it was just like, of course, because the president could do that. Find out about the drones. I'm excited. And RFK and JFK and MLK.
And I have to say, I think it'll have been better for our country, actually, that Trump lost in 2020 so that he could win this time. And he'll do better this second term than he would have in 2020.
I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's just
we're watching it
brutally honest. For two reasons. One, because I think the country suffered big time for 4 years, and because the country suffered,
he had 4 years to plan.
Right, 4 years. So that's the thing. 4 years to plan, and he understood who the real enemies would be and how to actually use the levers of power. They always talk about Republicans getting into office, and they have to like cut through all the bureaucracy because people give them the runaround. They won't tell them how to actually get things done. And so that's done because he now knows the game. But the suffering element, I think, helps a lot. He's won the will of the American people. We talked about immigration today, but there's no question he has the popular will of the people to go get things done. And So now it's like you
Beautiful.
got the support and you got the mechanism. It's going to be a bad day to I don't know. I don't even think, because there's some Democrats I don't think are insane, but like to be a person that hates America, it's a bad day because we have a leader back in charge who actually cares.
Because it's the new golden age of America. And that's what he said. I listened to the speech.
That's facts. All right, Twilight Zone. Erica, you kind of tipped mine. I don't know if you want me to go first now. I mean, we're getting the files. We're getting JFK. We're getting RFK. We're getting MLK. So I had to bring this up because people are talking about it. I'm unfortunately cynical. I don't think we're going to get the real story. I don't know if you know, Josh, how this actually works because it's never happened. Many people have promised to do it. Trump actually just signed it to say, okay, declassify it. So if he declassifies, could it still be like super redacted, basically, where they would have black bars over all the important stuff?
There could be a lot of that stuff, yeah. I mean, I'm not holding out much hope. There might be more evidence that is brought to light that might allow people to go, yes, okay, that's why I think it's X. But I don't think you're going to get a smoking gun per se.
Do you have any exciting theories?
What happened to? We're talking about what happened to JFK.
Yep.
Oh, mob hit.
You think so?
Easy.
Italian mob?
So what happened is the mob helped elect, Kennedy. They ran through all the primaries, through a bunch of money. How does this Roman Catholic get elected out of West Virginia Democratic primary? Well, Papa Kennedy and the mafia guys all had a ton of money flowing through all these states. And so he gets the nomination and then he gets elected. And as soon as he gets elected, he decides to make his brother the attorney general. And his attorney general is like Mr. Squeaky Clean Boy Scout. And he's like going after the mob. Mob's like, dude, we put you in power. What the hell are you doing? Yeah. So, does the mob have ties to the Dallas police? Just maybe. Well, they did in 1963. I'm not saying they do now. And they changed the route of the, what's going on. And then they get, I do think Lee Harvey Oswald was just a patsy. And they tie up the loose end by having Jack Ruby kill him right on live TV. And Jack Ruby, mob ties. And he was dying of cancer in 9 months anyway. So it was just buttoned up like a bow. It was easy.
If it's this simple, why did they redact it from us for so long? Why did they keep it classified?
Well, there's a lot of things that, in terms of their investigation, a lot of the things that they uncover that they don't necessarily want everyone to know everything about it, even if it's not,
Right, but they could have released it and redacted stuff.
Well, part of it could be that maybe LBJ had some sort of foreknowledge of it and didn't care. That would have been reason to keep it on.
The extra layer is that they Watergated Nixon because he knew what happened to Kennedy.
I'm a big Nixon fan. I think he got
Do you think that's? I think that's actually reasonable.
I think that's a reasonable take. I mean, the thing is, Nixon was going to war.
I'm going to get my popcorn.
Nixon was going to war with the CIA and the FBI.
Everything I love.
and they took him out because of that.
Damn right he was.
So Trump's got to watch his six.
True. No, that's a great point. Although Ratcliffe got confirmed.
Yeah, but I mean, like, why do we not know anything about, you're like talking about JFK, like, how about we find out more about like that weird twerpy kid in Butler who tried to kill our president?
Yeah, I want those files.
I'm sure Trump's
who paid him off. Why does he have a bunch of accounts overseas? And why do they all have a lot of money in it?
Why did he have no silverware in his house?
Yeah, he just plays video games. He's got, a couple $100,000. So,
Although I did see that now that the MLK stuff is being released again, people are going through what's already publicly available at this point, and not a great guy by all accounts, unfortunately. A little bit of a sexual deviant.
A little bit.
A little bit, a lot of it. And
Kennedy's not great either on that front. Speaking of which,
no, they weren't. Neither was Trump, obviously, but Trump did not plagiarize his doctoral thesis like MLK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then MLK, they were going through so the whole civil disobedience was actually kind of a farce. Like he thought of it as a means to cripple a city by basically using that to encourage actual violence. So yeah, anyway, all publicly available, by the way. If you want to go look it up, go look at MLK. You might be a little disappointed if he was kind of a hero of yours. I think you can give good speeches and be.
Are there some good things about it? Absolutely.
I was at my women's book club last night. I know we have to go on time today, but we're at the Women's Book Club. We were talking about MLK, and a few of them send their kids to the local Catholic school. And they're like, yeah, my first grader came home and told me, I asked, well, what'd you do today? He's like, well, we learned about St. Martin Luther King Jr. in school.
I wouldn't go that far.
He had to disabuse her child. She's like, okay, so he made some great speeches. He had some, not a
He
saint.
did great things. He did many
Not a
great things. He
saint.
did some bad
Yeah.
things. He did many
Did
great
bad
things.
as did many men of history, but he's not a saint. So,
Although,
and I just want, can I wait?
Go for it,
Peggy in the
Erica.
chat.
Yeah.
Erica, I wish you had a separate show so we could have examined all the Trump women's outfits from your lips to God's ears, or Mercer's ears, maybe, Justin.
Pretty women.
All right.
Hey,
listen, I was told to keep the show on time today. We're going to try
Okay.
our best. Erica, you go next, and we'll have Josh round us up.
Okay, so in the vein of you don't hate the media enough and the
Try
March
me.
for Life theme, what would it take to get the New York Times to admit that an unborn child is in fact a child? Turns out we have the answer. Can you pull that up for us?
I do.
I'm guessing it's got to do with deportation.
Oh, how did you know? In fact, New York Times, is a fetus a person? Anti-abortion strategy, yes, okay. And then the next picture, we turn to the question of undocumented women ask, will my unborn child be a citizen?
What
Guys,
even is that? I don't even know.
what even is an unborn child? How do we even know? What is this?
I didn't know
What
we
do you
gave
know it's a
citizenship
person?
to tissue,
Oh my
right? Isn't that what they
gosh.
say? Just tissue.
Yeah, clump of cells. Will my clump of cells be a citizen?
Yeah, it depends on their immigration status is the correct answer here. Actually, so if I could,
Are they citizens of an idea, or is it actually a country? I keep
So-
forgetting that.
this isn't just the New York Times. This is actually the Jesuits over at American Magazine, for those wondering as well. So I have an article, Mass Deportation is Antithetical to the Gospel. And then right next you get, when it comes to abortion, are Catholics imposing their religion on others? Question mark? What's the common thread here? I don't know.
Guys.
We don't want people to murder babies. We're imposing religion. What?
Seems a little selective. Okay, Josh, what do you got?
Okay, so there's this. I think there's a group of big World Economic Forum going on in Davos. Trump doesn't go, but I guess he did like a live video speech or something like that.
It was awesome.
And he's talking to these like big bankers, and he just decides, this is my president, by the way. He calls out the CEO of Bank of America, and it's like, dude, you are debanking conservatives. Like this word debanking, just so people understand. Tell a conservative, we're going to close your account. We're not going to let you do business with us. And Bank of America is like, what are you talking about? You want to roll the clip?
It's a great clip.
Speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
Oh my gosh, so good. Right to his face.
Wait.
Mr. President, so Bank of America issues a statement.
Wait, Josh, you got to get the follow-ups even better for the follow-up.
Mr. President, I'll say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup when it comes both this summer for the club and next year. So thank you for getting that for the United States.
Didn't even respond.
Oh my God.
Well, he didn't respond immediately to Trump, but Bank of America did issue a statement. Bank of America serves more than 70 million clients, and we welcome conservatives. We would never close accounts for political reasons and don't have a political litmus test. Bank of America. So Eric Prince said, F you, Bank of America. He didn't actually write it out. He literally just used the letters. We're a family show, but that's what he said. Mm-hmm. He said, this is a complete lie. Eric Prince, conservative that he is. I don't agree with everything on him, but I thought it was pretty good. He says to Bank of America, you debanked me, my children, stepchildren, and hell, you even debanked my ex-wife and her new husband because their account received child support payments from me. Fix yourself and clear out your illegal discriminatory banking. And I can tell you this, by the way, banks have done the same to Catholic Vote. They've done the same to the National Rifle Association. They have debunked conservatives. So don't let them lie to you. Oh, we would never do this. They do this. I've had to get other banks. By the way, opening up a bank account, it's a lot of paperwork. It's a big hassle. So, Chase tells me, oh, no, we're not doing your thing. Oh, thanks. Great. Let me just more paperwork for me. And then they'll tell me that they don't do this kind of crap.
15 attorney generals sued Bank of America for this. This is like ongoing litigation. Right. So the point too about all this is, and the whole speech was great. And basically it's just him announcing to the world, like, yeah, America's a strong and sovereign nation. We're not playing around anymore. We will hit you with tariffs if you mess with us. If you want to bring your business to a place with the lowest taxes in the world, you bring it to America, and we're not. If you don't, we're going to tariff you. Just total middle fingers to the whole world, basically.
That's just a half of it, Tom.
What are you talking about,
dude? I'm sure word will leak out that banks will, there'll be an advisory opinion that might be published that banks will lose their FDI insurance, right? Because the federal government backs bank accounts up to $200,000 or whatever it is. In case the banks go under. But if they remove the FDIC insurance for companies that discriminate like this for debanking conservatives, that'll whip them around real quick.
Yeah, I mean, but the point of the speech wasn't even to – it was just basically like to talk to the World Economic Forum. And I just love – nothing tells me that President Trump actually represents the people that put him in office more than taking that opportunity to say, hey, this is wrong and you're going to clean it up. And I'm going to call you out in front of the entire world about it.
This is the biggest difference between Donald Trump and every other Republican president we've sent in the last 30, 40 years. Donald Trump considers him a protector of the people he elected, whereas most Republicans we elect consider themselves apologists. Mitt Romney, John McCain, all these people, George W. Bush, they're all making apologies for, oh gosh, our people are kind of crazy. It's like, you know what? Actually, it's the commies on the other side are crazy. Maybe we get a little angry because we're sick and tired of someone ruining our country.
Flip the shame table. I love it. Put that on a bumper sticker, Josh.
Turn the shame table around.
or we can make Josh a DJ, and then you can have the two turntables and be like, flip the turntables. I don't know. We'll workshop it.
Sorry, the chat's getting crazy today. We better shut this puppy down.
What's up with the chat? What do they got going?
Oh, someone is asking, why are women talking about politics and religion? There's nothing else to talk about.
Wait, what?
That's all I talk about.
Where's this?
I don't know. Who's
my
that?
favorite quote?
Oh, wait, no, that's a guy on Twitter right now called Jewish Woke Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I feel like he's probably.
I think
he's really nuked the chat on X. What the heck? Okay.
As G.K. Chesterton said, I never discuss anything except politics and religion.
Exactly.
There is nothing else to discuss.
Yeah, take that Jewish woke right with
Sorry,
no profile
Grandma.
picture. All right, but yeah, we got to clean that up on Twitter. Apparently, we will defend Erica to the ends of the earth, and that's a promise. Okay, good show today, guys. If you want to help out the show, hey, send me some emails. LOOPcast@catholicvote.org. If you guys have questions that you'd like us to answer, send them over. It's been a little while since I've gotten a question, so do that. If you want to support the show, you can join the Champions Club. Support us monthly. It's the best way to support us. CatholicVote.org/champions. But pray for us. St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and St. Fidelis. Pray for us. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.